So because of how long it's been, I asked you guys if you would be okay with me making some lower effort videos from time to time just to give you guys something. Something for staying with me for this long despite having put out zero content for years now. And for the most part, everyone was totally accepting of it. So if you're wondering what this video's about, well, I wish I could tell you. I'm just gonna wing it on this one and just have a little chat with you guys on a bunch of random things that just so happen to come to mind, I guess. It's the least I can do to give back to you guys at this point, because long story short, I am not the same person I was once 10 years ago. A lot has happened since then, and I do mean a lot. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk. For starters, I gotta bring up the most obvious elephant in the room, my strike freedom rant. If you've kept up with my community posts, you will know very well that my strike freedom rant is still very much alive and still in the works. I have actually told my strike freedom rant in its current tentative state to what feels like several dozens of people at this point, and all of them seemingly had positive reception towards it. But again, this rant is currently in a tentative state as it stands due to the fact that there are currently two things that are holding me back from turning it into video form right now, though as of recently, one of those two things has finally arrived. The first thing is the Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom. I needed to wait for that kit to come out in order to thoroughly analyze it for anything new they might have tried to sneak under the rug for this thing, because if you remember back in 2018, that was one of the many things that was delaying my strike freedom rant, was that they constantly kept throwing new addendum after new addendum onto the strike freedom for years now, and I had to redo my whole rant several times because of the new information I would get from them that changed my whole perspective on things and brought new light to certain points. I had to be sure the Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom didn't do that, and if it did, I had to modify anything that needed to be modified accordingly as a result. The second thing that I'm waiting for to come, however, is the Seed Destiny movie sequel that is now confirmed to be in the works again by Bandai and Mitsuo Fukuda himself. At this point, if Kira's gonna be in the movie, I am just hoping and praying to God that they just give him a whole new Gundam entirely at this point. Just leave the strike freedom alone, for the love of God. Spare me the damn headaches of having to research this godforsaken mobile suit any more than I already have. Speaking of which, that brings me to another point I wanted to make. From all the research I've done on this Gundam for 10 years and counting now, I have learned many things that actually pertain to the Destiny Gundam as well. And I know this is going to come as a shock to those who have been following me for so long now and have not been following my community posts either, but let me make this absolutely clear right here, right now on video. The Strike Freedom is the Gundam that got me, Wacky Modder 84, to no longer hate the Destiny Gundam. What? Let those words sink in right now. After over 10 years of me talking crap about the Destiny and pretty much using it as a punching bag to make fun of for how badly designed it is and all the lore behind it that made no sense, my entire perspective of the Destiny Gundam has completely changed from what it was 10 years ago. And as such, I don't hate the Destiny Gundam anymore. If anything, I feel bad for it. All the scorn and vitriol I once had for this Gundam has been completely replaced with overwhelming pity. Now, don't get me wrong though, I still think the Destiny Gundam is a bad Gundam. Make absolutely no mistake about that whatsoever. But in terms of hating it, all of the hate that I once had for the Destiny has now completely transferred over to the Strike Freedom. The Strike Freedom is now my new most hated Gundam of all time, and for a multitude of very good reasons. But because my entire perspective has completely changed with the Destiny Gundam, I am now actually heavily considering redoing my Destiny rant one more time and then combining it with my Strike Freedom rant and just putting the two of them in one single video. Because a lot of crap I have researched about the Strike Freedom has revealed to me just how badly the Destiny Gundam got shafted because of that Gundam. I feel like it would only be fair at that point, considering that I even acknowledge multiple mistakes that I made in my Destiny rant 10 years ago that I would have the chance to go back to and correct. But yeah, after the Destiny movie sequel drops, hopefully sometime next year, fingers crossed, I can finally put my Strike Freedom rant into video form once and for all and be done with it. But until then, as I've said repeatedly in my community posts, if anyone wants to hear the Strike Freedom rant in its current tentative form, I will personally tell you the whole thing myself as it is on either Steam, Discord, Guilded, or Wire. Any of those 4 platforms to get a hold of me are fine. We can arrange a time and a date for it, and you can pick whether or not you want to hear it in text form via DMs or in audio form over voice chat. The choice is yours. So for anybody who has been waiting for it for so long and really want to know that badly why the Strike Freedom is a freaking travesty and a literal affront to God himself and just can't wait for the video version of the rant to come out any longer, the door is open. Let that be known right here, right now. Moving on. I know what you guys are going to ask immediately. Blackie, what are your thoughts on Witch from Mercury? Long story short, I have none yet. With the exception of the prologue, as of this video, I have not even touched Witch from Mercury, and have no plans on doing so until the series is either finished or close to being finished. I'm afraid that's the only practical way I can do it at the moment with how my life is right now. It is what it is. The only thing I can comment about Witch from Mercury so far is that the mobile suit designs look freaking crisp, and that the art design and the animation of Witch from Mercury both look really good. But other than that, I can't really comment on anything else about it at the moment. It is way too early in the game to be making judgment calls on Witch from Mercury, so I have to let the series mature before I get to that point. You know me, that's how I roll. But then again, that doesn't stop you guys from spoiling the hell out of everything for me, as you've been doing so for the last several episodes now. But nonetheless, I will still go into Witch from Mercury with an open mind when the time comes. So let's talk about another thing that's been on my mind as of lately. That being making a comprehensive list of the top 15 worst Gundam games of all time. Not top 10, top 15. Believe me, there's more than just 10 worth talking about here. This has been something I've wanted to do for a long time now, honestly, and now that, by the grace of God, I have a beautiful powerhouse PC to get the job done with, I might actually go through with it when my health and schedule allow it. It'll definitely be fun to make, that's for sure. Believe it or not, certain people actually defend a few games I have in mind on this list, mainly because of nostalgia, I noticed, but still. When my health and schedule allow it, and when I get around to it, hopefully I can make that video one day. When will that day come? I have no idea, but either way, now you know that it's something that I do indeed have on the back burner. So next up, you can consider this a bit of a tease, because I absolutely love messing with Gundam fans whenever I tell them this, because every time I do, it completely and utterly shatters their status quo. So let me ask you this. What is the strongest Gundam of all time? Immediately, people are just gonna say, oh, well, that's easy, Wacky. The Turn A Gundam, of course. What kind of question is that? Ah, that's adorable. Because guess what? That's not true.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, you heard that correctly. That is factually incorrect. The overwhelming majority of the Gundam fanbase has fallen for this lie. Hell, even I fell for it 10 years ago. So don't feel bad, you're not the only one. But let's not kid ourselves here. The Turn A Gundam is objectively one of the strongest Gundams in the franchise. Keyword, one of. In the main universe, it's at the top of the food chain, without question. Considering the fact that the only thing in the main universe of Gundam that can actually fight the Turn A on somewhat even terms is the Turn X, and even then, that's an uphill battle. But when it comes to being the strongest in the entire Gundam franchise, the Turn A Gundam is nowhere even remotely close to being that strong. Because the truth is, there's someone else. Someone that is so strong on a level that nothing, and I do mean nothing, in the Gundam franchise can touch him. And to this day, he remains undefeated. The amount of things in the Gundam franchise that can even physically hurt him, I could count them all on one hand. If you thought G Gundam was super robotish, if you thought the Turn A and the Turn X were super robotish, you ain't seen nothing yet. because when it comes to this guy, it don't get more super robot than this. He's right up there with the big boys. How super robot are we talking? I am not lying or exaggerating when I say this. Multiversal level.
You want to run that by me again?
Oh yeah, he's that strong. And it really irks me that barely anyone in the Western Gundam fandom knows he even exists. And believe me, I want to do a video on this guy in the future, but I'm not ready yet. I am still in the process of learning everything there is to know about him because there is a lot of language barriers going on here. A lot of information and lore about him is lost in translation currently, and I'm still picking it apart bit by bit. But one day, if someone else doesn't get to him first, I absolutely will make a video on him. You can be damn well sure about that. So this next thing I want to get into is something that has been genuinely bothering me for a while now. And as of recently, it's gotten to the point where I have to get this off my chest. Gundam Wing fans, let me ask you something. Why is it that there are so many of you to this day that either don't realize or don't give a damn about the fact that Gundam Wing got rebooted years ago?
What do you mean by that?
No, really, let's talk about this, because this is genuinely concerning. To this day, the majority of Gundam Wing fans, especially in the West, have been clinging to the original anime of Gundam Wing, and continue to do so even right now, completely unaware and oblivious to the fact that Gundam Wing did indeed get rebooted. Like seriously, every single time I tell Gundam Wing fans that Wing got rebooted, like years ago, their minds get frickin' blown every single time. If you're a Gundam Wing fan and this is the first time you've ever heard about this on your end, I legitimately feel bad for you because you have no idea what the hell you've been missing. But yes, it's true. For those not in the know, Gundam Wing did indeed get rebooted. And to even further twist the knife, here's another shocker for those not in the know. Did you know that the movie of Gundam Wing Endless Waltz is now no longer canon to the original anime of Gundam Wing at all? Yeah, you heard that right, because it's true.
I have so many questions!
The only thing that the original Gundam Wing anime is canon to at this point is itself. Nothing else. Nowadays, OG Gundam Wing is pretty much in its own little continuity separate from everything else. And really the only reason to revisit OG Wing at this point is just for nostalgia. And for the godlike soundtrack it had, I suppose. But once you get into the reboot of Gundam Wing, you will never be able to look back at the original Gundam Wing the same way ever again. So let's get into it. Here is the current status quo with Gundam Wing right now. Gundam Wing now has two timelines / continuities. Original canon and Endless Waltz canon. So what the hell am I talking about with this so-called reboot exactly? It is called Gundam Wing Endless Waltz: The Glory of Losers. For those who have never heard of it before, Glory of Losers is a full-on continuity reboot and a retelling of the original story of Gundam Wing. Basically, it's the Gundam Wing equivalent of Gundam the Origin. It completely and totally improves upon everything that Gundam Wing did wrong and makes it a far better and more well-told story. The 5 main characters finally got their backstories that we never got for them in the original anime of Wing, which, fun fact for those who don't know, were supposed to be in the original anime of Wing, specifically in episodes 27 and 28. Unfortunately, due to a lot of scheduling conflicts that popped up during this time, the head writer of Gundam Wing at the time, Katsuyuki Sumisawa, ended up quitting the team entirely. And as a result, episodes 27 and 28 were turned into recap episodes, and we never got any of the backstories we were promised. In the movie of Endless Waltz, we actually got glimpses of these backstories, but not the full context whatsoever. Just bits and pieces. But now, things have changed, and we have fully fleshed out and proper backstories for the 5 main Gundam protagonists, and even Relena as well. Considering the fact that one of the most common complaints about the original Gundam Wing is that the main 5 characters are all one-dimensional, that is now no longer the case. But it's not just the backstories that happened. The events that took place in the original anime have been completely redone, retold, and reorganized to feel a lot more organic and not forced like quite a few of them were in the original. I wish I could say more, but I don't want to get into spoilers too much. And believe me, I could. I can make a whole video about Glory of Losers talking about how much stuff they fixed. But by far, one of the best things to come out of Glory of Losers are the new and improved redesigns of the 5 main Gundams, Tallgeese, and Epion. These new redesigns are better in every single way from their original counterparts and add so much more depth, intuitiveness, and practicality to their combat styles. I could legit spend a whole hour going into full detail about these designs, but that's for another video, honestly, if the demand is high enough for me to do it. Sadly though, Glory of Losers does not have an anime adaptation yet, and holy crap does it need one badly. Glory of Losers absolutely deserves an OVA style series just like Gundam Unicorn. That would be perfect for it. But just because Glory of Losers is in manga form only right now, do not let that dissuade you from checking it out whatsoever. It is better than the original anime of Wing in literally every single way. You can be rest assured on that one. So this raises the question, what's the current timeline of Gundam Wing? If Wing got rebooted, what canonical order do things take place in? Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Here is the canonical order that the Endless Waltz canon of Gundam Wing takes place in. First up is Episode 0. This is where we get our backstories from that are still canon to the reboot of Glory of Losers. Glory of Losers basically just updated a few things from Episode 0 to fall in line with the new mobile suit designs in the form of flashbacks, but otherwise it's pretty much the same thing. And it's only got 1 volume, so getting through it won't take long. Next up is Glory of Losers itself, the main story of Wing. This one has 14 volumes to go through, which are actually all available on Amazon right now, and even Barnes & Noble as well. I can vouch for this because I actually bought a few volumes of Glory of Losers at my local Barnes & Noble. But before you can proceed any further, there is another entry you gotta get through first. Gundam Wing Dual Story G-Unit, also known as Gundam Wing The Last Outpost if you go by the Tokyo Pop English localization of it, a side story manga that takes place parallel to the events of the main story of Wing. I must admit, I was a little hesitant to still call this one canon to Glory of Losers, but the entry that takes place after Glory of Losers completely removes any and all doubt of this. But don't worry, we'll get to that. Thankfully, Dual Story G-Unit is not that long, as it's only 3 volumes, so getting through it shouldn't take that long. So after you get through both Glory of Losers and Dual Story G-Unit, you then move on to Gundam Wing's side story Teal's Impulse, which is a short manga that takes place in January of After Colony 196. It's a short 1-volume manga that tells the story of a young girl by the name of Teal Noimbro, who, by the way, is the real first ever female protagonist in the Gundam franchise. No Witch from Mercury fans, it is not Suiletta Mercury. Anyone who tries to say it is a freaking liar. Anyway, it's a 1-volume story that tells of a young girl named Teal Noimbro who is searching for her older brother Carl, an Oz pilot who went missing during the testing of one of the most terrifying things ever created in Gundam, Zero System 2.0. Oh, what? You didn't know? Zero System and Epion System ain't the only versions out there. There are 2 others, Zero System 2.0 and Zero System 2.5, both of which are introduced and explored in this story. Zero System 2.0 is easily the most dangerous version of the Zero System ever made and was only put into 1 single mobile suit, a gray-colored variant of Wing Zero appropriately named Gundam Lucifer. Despite the edgy name, however, make no mistake about it, under absolutely no circumstances should anyone get into any mobile suit equipped with Zero 2.0. That would be one of the biggest mistakes you will ever make in your life. What's so scary about Zero 2.0, you might ask? Well, unlike the Zero System 1.0, which strongly influences the pilot to take the course of action that it has calculated and chosen to be the most logically correct one to take from all the data it has processed, Zero System 2.0 takes that to a whole new extreme by literally forcing the pilot into doing just that against their will. Basically, you lose any and all free will you once had. You become a puppet of a machine that will make you do unspeakable things and commit war crimes against your will whether your ass likes it or not. Whatever Zero 2.0 says, goes. End of freaking story. Zero System 1.0 was already infamous for its mental effects it had on the pilot. Imagine how much worse 2.0 is from it forcing you to do its bidding. It is genuinely terrifying to think about, and in order to break free from it, you will have to be forcibly removed from the mobile suit and very likely rehabilitated in a mental facility to be brought back to good mental health again. Zero System 2.5, however, is a totally different story. This variant of the Zero System has pretty much no mental side effects on the pilot whatsoever that both 1.0 and 2.0 had. However, it has a bit of an inconvenient function where it will go full-on Alice system and manually take control of the entire mobile suit should it decide that you're being stupid and it disagrees with your choice of action. Zero System 2.5 was only implemented into one mobile suit, Wing Gundam Seraphim, a limited mass production version of Wing Zero.
What?
Oh yeah, you heard that correctly. Your ears did not deceive you. Romefeller actually started making limited mass production versions of the 5 main Gundams from the original story. That is so typical Romefeller Foundation right there. Wing Zero got Wing Gundam Seraphim, Death Scythe Hell got Gundam Death Scythe Guilty, Heavy Arms got the Gundam De Ringer Arms, Sandrock got Gundam Sanleon, and Ultron got the Tianlong Gundam. Basically, watered down versions of their originals and pretty much inferior in every single way. But in regards to the Gundam De Ringer Arms in particular, if you ever wondered what the predecessor to the Serpents from the Endless Waltz movie were, now you know. But remember when I said that this was the story that removed any and all doubt about dual story G units still being canon to Glory of Losers? Well, you could thank 2 specific Gundams from Teal's Impulse for that. Gundam Death Scythe Guilty Custom and Gundam Sanleon Custom. To anyone who's actually read Dual Story G Unit watching this right now, they will recognize exactly what parts they customized these 2 Gundams with immediately. Hydra Gundam's beam cannons and Gundam Asclepius's armor, both of which were salvaged from their destroyed remains. It is impossible for Dual Story G Unit to not be canon and for these 2 mobile suits to exist in this story. So yeah, Dual Story G Unit is indeed still canon to Glory of Losers. There's your proof. Moving on, once you finish up Teal's Impulse, you then move on to Battlefield of Pacifists, a pre-sequel manga that bridges the gap between Glory of Losers and the movie of Endless Waltz itself. This manga takes place in summer of After Colony 196, after Teal's Impulse, but still before the movie of Endless Waltz. This manga is actually very important because it answers a lot of questions that the Endless Waltz movie back in the day never answered due to how completely disconnected it was from the original anime at the time. The biggest thing by far being Wu Fei's sudden unexpected heel turn in the movie of Endless Waltz. This completely baffled so many Gundam Wing fans at the time as it came out of nowhere and was never properly elaborated on, but now things have changed. Battlefield of Pacifists finally sheds light on why Wu Fei did what he did in the Endless Waltz movie and his reasons behind it, among many other things, but basically it ties up all the loose ends between the original story and the Endless Waltz movie that were never explained the first time. I'd love to get into more details, but that would be going into serious spoiler territory, and I really don't want to do that in this video too heavily. Then of course we have the Endless Waltz movie itself, which takes place Christmas Eve of After Colony 196. I think at this point everyone pretty much knows how it goes, so it really doesn't need any introduction. Unfortunately, however, Frozen Teardrop is apparently still canon here, but honestly you could pretty much just stop after the Endless Waltz movie and pretend Frozen Teardrop doesn't exist. Or at the very least, just look at the mobile suit designs and marvel at those, and that's it. As that's literally the only good thing that came out of Frozen Teardrop was the mobile suit designs, to which I have learned a lot of details about them that were previously kept in the dark due to language barriers, but that would require a whole other video entirely, because that is a huge can of worms to talk about that we will be here for a while with. But yeah, to recap, the Endless Waltz canon of Gundam Wing goes like this. Episode 0, Glory of Losers, Dual Story G Unit, Teal's Impulse, Battlefield of Pacifists, the Endless Waltz movie, and unfortunately, Frozen Teardrop. But again, you can just stop at the Endless Waltz movie and proceed no further. Trust me, it's for the best. Spare your brain cells. But to be fair, Glory of Losers did indeed soften the blow of Frozen Teardrop, mainly because it actually filled a lot of the plot holes that Frozen Teardrop created by writing things backwards into the story that originally never happened. So props to Glory of Losers for doing that, but the new material of Frozen Teardrop is still garbage in every single way, with the exception of the mobile suit designs. But I must say, it really feels refreshing to talk about another section of Gundam that's not Seed for a change. Talking about the Cosmic Era at this point has become really damn tiring, and I genuinely do want to talk about other parts of Gundam more, but the biggest problem with this is, you guys literally won't let me. Every single day, I get hit up in my DMs with questions about the Cosmic Era all the damn time. And it's not like I could just ignore them or say no, that would just be rude and disrespectful. Plus, it seems like not many other people in the Gundam fandom want to talk about or acknowledge the nitty-gritty details about the Cosmic Era. Granted, there are some people that do so a lot more than others, such as Kakarot197 for example, but it's still a problem that very few people on YouTube seem to want to go in depth with the Cosmic Era's lore and information present. But really, considering the fact that information on the Cosmic Era is so convoluted, confusing, and inconsistent, I really can't say I blame people for not wanting to even bother with it. But yeah, my DMs are always open if anyone's got questions on anything Gundam related, or anything in general for that matter. You guys must know me by now that I am extremely transparent with these kinds of things. Moving on, another thing I'd also like to bring to people's attention, since not everyone follows my community posts, is that I've made multiple appearances as a special guest on the Gundam Space Engineers podcast. It's a small little podcast run by a longtime friend of mine by the name of Freedom and his two boys C. Gerald and Rave Racer. As of this video, however, the podcast is kinda gone on hiatus due to Freedom not only injuring his eyes at the time and he needed time for them to heal, but also due to the fact that he got married and is currently still setting up shop with his new life. Massive congratulations to him on that one, by the way. God bless him and his family in all their endeavors. But yeah, we talked about some interesting things every time I came on there. First time we talked about the Seed Destiny movie sequel and what to potentially expect / not expect from it. And to help clarify that Mitsuo Fukuda has not changed one damn bit and has learned absolutely nothing from his mistakes that he made in the past at all to this day. But by far the most fun time I had on there was when we dissected the most notorious and meme-worthy interview of Mitsuo Fukuda in all of Gundam history. This interview is so bad that it has reached meme status within the Gundam fandom, and it truly lets you see just how incompetent Mitsuo Fukuda really is. I will leave a link to the Gundam Space Engineers podcast YouTube channel in the description for all you guys to check out should you guys be interested in doing so. Just thought I'd give them a little signal boost is all. And honestly, I think that's pretty much all I can think of at this point. If you want more low-effort videos like this in the future to hold you guys over and give you guys something instead of years of dead air, feel free to let me know in the comments. And for the love of God, please keep an eye on my community tab, because I do use it to keep you guys in the loop about things that are going on, or if I need feedback from you guys about something in particular. So this begs the question, when will my next video be? Hell if I know. I thought 2018 was going to be the year I can finally get back into the groove of things. Boy, was I wrong! So as for my next video, whenever it happens, it happens. That's all I can say. I'm just taking it day by day at this point. God bless every single one of you for staying with me after years of unable to give anything back to you guys. I really, really do want to make more for you guys, but you know how it is with my health and life circumstances that I've been very vocal about for years now. So until next time, guys, whenever the hell that may be, peace out.